who are you? I mean, really, who are you? It sounds like such a simple question, doesn't it? But the more you dig into it, the weirder it gets. In this explainer, we're going to look at a perspective that might just flip your whole idea of self right on its head.
So let's just start with a huge one. Seriously, take a second and think about it. Before this life, before this body and these memories, who were you? Was there some essence of you just waiting around to be born?
And okay, let's bring it into the now, right this second, as you're listening to me. Who is the you that's listening? Is it your job title, your personality, your thoughts? Where is that feeling of me actually located?
To help us wrestle with these massive questions, we're going to turn to a really fascinating Thai Buddhist text. And what's cool is, it doesn't just ask the questions. It gives us a very specific, and yeah, pretty radical answer for what's going on.
All right, so let's tackle that first question we threw out there. What were you, if anything, before you were born? So right off the bat, the text hits us with a bombshell. It says there was no permanent, solid you just hanging out waiting for your turn. The whole idea of some unchanging soul that hops from one life to the next, according to this source, that's a total misunderstanding of how things work.
And this brings us to this absolutely central idea, anatta, or no self. Now, this does not mean you don't exist. That's super important. It just means there's no single, permanent, independent thing inside you that is the real you. It's just not there.
So if there's no soul, then what is it that connects one life to another? Well, the text says to think of it like a continuous stream. It's less like a person getting off one train and onto another, and more like one candle flame lighting the next one. The second flame isn't the same as the first, but it was absolutely caused by it. And what powers this stream? Past actions, and crucially, an ignorance of this whole no-self thing. Okay, so if there was no permanent you before this life, that brings up a pretty obvious follow-up question. What in the world is this you that's here right now?
Yeah, if you take away that idea of a fixed soul, what's left? What is this thing we experience every moment that we call me? The text's answer is, well, it's incredible. It says that what we call our self isn't one solid thing. It's more like a temporary team, a pop-up assembly of 5 different components, or aggregates, that are all constantly shifting and changing.
And here they are. You've got form, which is basically your physical body. Feeling, which is just that raw data, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Perception, that's the part that labels things like, oh, that's a tree. Mental formations, that's the busy stuff. Your thoughts, your habits, your intentions. And finally, consciousness, which is just the basic awareness that all this is happening. The wild part is realizing that you're not any one of these things. They're just processes happening.
And this leads to this really powerful practice the text suggests. You can actually watch these 5 things come and go, and for each one, a feeling, a thought, even your own body, you can say to yourself, that is not mine, I am not that, that is not myself. It's a way to actively untangle your identity from these fleeting parts.
So why does all this matter? I mean, who cares if you're a soul or an assembly of parts? Well, according to this text, getting this wrong isn't just a philosophical mistake. It is the literal engine that creates our own suffering. And the fuel for that engine? It has a name. Tanha. You can think of it as craving or thirst. It's that deep, nagging feeling of wanting. Wanting pleasant things to last forever, wanting painful things to just go away, and underneath it all, that relentless craving just to keep existing. That's the stuff that keeps us stuck. And this craving, it's not random. It's a key piece in this intricate 12-link chain of cause and effect. You can think of it like the blueprints for a trap, showing exactly how we get caught in this endless cycle of dissatisfaction. So here's a quick tour of how this loop works. It all kicks off with that basic ignorance, not knowing about no self. That leads us to create actions, or karma. Those actions propel a consciousness looking for a new life. And once that new life starts, boom, craving kicks in big time. And that craving leads to clinging and becoming, which leads us right back to where we started, aging, death, and sorrow. You can see how it just feeds itself, over and over. The text has this perfect metaphor for what it feels like to be caught in this. It's like we're a hopelessly tangled knot of thread. We're so mixed up that we can't even see where the knot starts or ends, so we have no clue how to even begin untying it. But here's the crucial part, and it's really the whole point. The text does not leave us stuck in that knot. It actually hands us a map for how to untangle the whole mess. It shows us the path to liberation. And the path out isn't about finding a more comfortable spot inside the cycle. Nope.
It's about breaking the cycle itself. The way you do that is by cutting off its fuel. You have to stop feeding that engine of craving.
And this puts a really profound choice in front of us. On one hand, you have samsara. That's the cycle, right? The hamster wheel. It's defined by endless craving and just feeling trapped. But on the other hand, you have nibbana. It literally means to extinguish, like blowing out a candle. It's the complete snuffing out of those fires of greed and craving. It's not some heaven you go to, it's a state of total freedom and peace you can realize right here.
So we come all the way back to that first question, who am I? And what we've seen is that according to this text, the answer isn't a noun. It's not a person, place, or thing.
Instead, I is a verb. It's a process, a constantly unfolding series of causes and effects. And you know, that's the most hopeful part of this whole thing. Because if it's a process, it means you can understand it. You can see how it works. And if you can understand it, you can ultimately become free from it.
Which leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending thought. We're always told the point of life is to find yourself, right? To discover who you really are. But what if? What if that's the wrong mission entirely?
What if the real goal isn't to finally pin down and find a self, but to understand the process so deeply that you're finally free from that constant, anxious need to have one in the first place? Definitely something to think about.